Welcome to another edition of Conversation with Coach Kevin. I'm your host and life coach, Kevin Thornton. Today we got an amazing guest on the show today. He's someone I have known since maybe like 2013, 14. I met him on YouTube and he's been doing amazing things. And I wanted to catch up and let him speak some light into the world this week. So without further ado, I have Mr. Alvin Jackson in the building. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, Kevin. Thank you, man. I feel pretty good.
Good to hear from you, sir. How you been?
Yes, pretty good, man. I was just been staying busy, man. Teaching students, staying in the college, anatomy and physiology, all that good stuff, and still on occasion helping people get rid of the cancer and the diabetes and all the big ones. So that's about
All
it.
right. So, I relaunched my podcast, my video podcast, and I said I have to have you back on. We will talk some health, but I also want to talk to you about your journey to become who you are as a black man. I feel like this year is going to be the year of 2024 is for me as a life coach of the year as the black man because um, we don't get a lot of attention, a lot of nurturing.
Right.
The mainstream media likes to showcase us as animalistic, um, not willing to work hard. And the circle of people that I know are very intelligent, are hard workers, great fathers, great husbands. And I think the world need to see that. They need to see that more often. And if mainstream media is not going to do it, then it's my responsibility to do it. So, can you tell everybody who you are and what you do, how you got to this point right here?
All right. So, just to start off, I'm Alvin J, the most passionate non-doctor on the internet. Um, I started off doing health because I had my own healthcare crisis. And of course, that was prostate cancer. So I ended up with a really disturbing reading because I didn't expect anything. And I end up with a 7.9 reading. And then all of a sudden, because my dad has it, I end up going to get checked, and all of a sudden I have it. And I'm not the kind of person who believes in it runs in the family and stuff like
Right.
that. So I wanted to really make sure that this was something that was in the family, or if it's something I developed because me and my dad had the same genes. So
Mhm.
I went down and get checked, and of course, it came out with a reading. And I started doubting if I was going to live a full life after that, because
Right.
the suggestion was go ahead and cut out your prostate. We need to get ahead of this early. You might need to start some radiation, that kind of stuff. Now, when I heard that, that scared me to death. And that was the first time in my life I probably cried out of fear that I would not live a long and healthy life. So I figured, though, just from researching on the internet, I said out of 8 billion people that live on this planet, at the time it was like 7.5. But at that time, I was trying to figure out there has to be somebody who got rid of this naturally. So let me see if I can find them. And I just so happened to run into somebody online who was running a meetup for cancer survivors. And
Right.
so I just went, not expecting anything. And then all of a sudden, this young lady, she was probably in her 50s, and her mother had gone through pelvic cancer, bone cancer. And I could not believe what she was telling us in the meeting. And I'm not believing it because I'm kind of worried about my own situation. And she then, at the end of her presentation, pulls out two manila envelopes, and she says, "This is my mother's pelvis." And one looked like it had been shot through with bullet holes, and the other one was fine. And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that that happened to your mother." And she's like, "No, no, no, darling. This is the before, this is the after." And I asked her, "How the hell did you do that?" So she introduced me to a book called Healing the Hopeless by Dr. Max Gerson. The diet and everything she told me the day after, I went and bought everything. I bought the organic groceries. I did the protocols to the T. And lo and behold, in 6 weeks and about $168 worth of organic groceries, I had a zero reading after I went back for my 8 weeks after I started this. So that was the beginning of what I call kind of like a healthcare revolution for me. Yeah.
Wow. So when you went through was going through that, I had someone who did the same thing similar to you. And hold on one second. And I told her to do the same thing. She pretty much went uh vegan, and
Pretty much.
she went pretty much vegan, and she got rid of all like the sugars and all that type of stuff like that. And when she went back to the doctor, um, she was fine. The
Mm,
mass that they had found in the back was gone, and everything like that. But she didn't stick with it.
mm,
She thought that once she got that clean bit of health, that she could go back to her normal lifestyle, eating and drinking, all type of stuff. And she went back to that lifestyle, and lo and behold, maybe like 6 months later, it came back and it spread it.
wow.
And yeah, and so I think people don't realize that once you make that change, it has to become a lifestyle. You just
Mm.
can't do it as a quick fix and then think you're going, once you be, oh, think you're okay, that you go back to how you used to do it. It has to be a complete lifestyle. So how did you change your mindset to make that understanding that, what the lifestyle which you once knew is no longer going to be that same lifestyle?
I think when you flush yourself out, because I started after that, I started doing cleansing, and I became like obsessed with the cleansing, the coffee enemas, the eating right, and and I thought it could have been short lived too, because even right now I still eat pizza and hamburgers and stuff like that every once in a while, but me and my wife, we try to stay on the like the salad, the organic, the healthy route, the nuts, the avocado, all the healthy stuff, because after you eat that way, your body changes and then it wants those kind of things because that's what gives you energy now. But when you go back to the other stuff, it's usually out of habit. And we notice that the habits are strong. All right. I know from some of my clients, the habits are strong. Like some of them, they could not give up their hamburger. Some of them, they couldn't give up their
Hmm.
beer. Some of them, they couldn't. They like the barbecue. I was like, wow. So I see the hole that it has, and because I still have the cravings, but I can do something different in order to get that, make that a reality for myself. Because now that I've been doing it for so long, I cannot go to McDonald's because it doesn't react with my body well. I cannot
Right.
go to Carl's Jr. I can't go to Pizza Hut. All right. If I eat more than like a half a slice of pizza from some greasy place, my insides are tore up and my body lets me know that. So I
Mm,
like that my body lets me know. And I'm sure other people, it's the same thing. But I
mm.
think what it is those old habits that was pathways you built in your brain, they're so strong. It is hard to get away from. I can't lie about that. It is difficult.
Good. So what would you say to our men who are in this journey to be their best self? And one of the key points for us to be our best self is taking care of ourselves physically. What would you say to them to help them make that switch into taking better care of themselves physically so they can live a long time for their children and for most of themselves?
All right, now this time I'm going to give you some numbers. All right, now
Okay.
most men believe that, and when we say you want to get better, you want to improve yourself, they think we're going to get a membership to the gym, we're going to buy some equipment, we're going to start exercising. But exercising is only 20% of fat loss. And fat is where you keep the poisons, any kind of junk you bring to your cells in your body. Okay. If you bring junk to a nerve cell, it will not take it. If you bring junk to a muscle cell, it will not take it. But if you bring junk to a fat cell, every single time it'll take it in because it'll keep it out of your bloodstream. Now, when you go to the gym and you're trying to burn those poisonous fat cells, that even when you do, it's only 20% of the fat loss, and that's all you're going to get. And a lot of people are trying to lose lose weight for the sake of diabetes. So the other 40%, one of the 40% is changing your diet. If you change your diet, you will lose weight faster than you ever would if you just went to the gym and thought you could eat anything you want. The other 40% is boost. That is called your metabolism. So when you guys actually go to the gym can actually inspire the metabolism. But metabolism and eating and your diet, that's 80% of it. But most of the time when people hear lose weight, they're going to go straight to the gym, which is only 20%. And all of a sudden you think you're going to lose all this weight, you're going to look great, and you're going to do this, and you're going to reverse erectile dysfunction. You're going to direct the stretch marks that are on your skin. You're going to reverse brain decline, stuff like that. And it just won't happen just by going to the gym, especially with all the chemicals, additives, preservatives they put in our food. So it's kind of hard because we're not eating real food. And people always ask, especially men, what do I eat if all the stuff I have has chemicals in it? And the thing is, you are eating foodstuffs, but you can find clean food. It's not impossible. It's still in the grocery stores. It's just in smaller sections, and it's slightly, not much, slightly more expensive. But
Right.
I think men can take that as a plan to actually start doing what they need to do. But I have to say, it's not easy. I understand why people don't get to their goals because it's not an easy thing to do. Sometimes you need help. Sometimes you got people in your house, like your family, who are eating whatever they want, and you're trying to be good, and all of a sudden you got that lure right in front of you. Sometimes you see the commercials on television. It triggers that ghrelin hormone, and all of a sudden you're hungry. So it's a lot of little strings that are attached to this that you got to be aware of. But as men, I think we can do it because we have that kind of willpower and drive. It's kind of like built into us.
Okay. Now, I believe I saw on your LinkedIn page that you also have a big focus and understanding about energy.
Mm.
And can you explain? When I saw that, I'm gonna be honest. That's why I really want to have a conversation with you about it. Can you explain to everybody how important energy is?
Now, when I say energy, I'm talking about all of it. All right. I'm not
Yes,
just talking
ma'am.
about you're trying to drink an energy drink and you're trying to get energy to get through the day. That's false energy. I'm not talking anything about that. But when I'm
Absolutely.
talking about energy, I'm talking about one part physical body. That's the energy that's going to come from your liver. The food, the good food that you eat, turning into ATP so you can use it for energy from your liver. Okay. That's one section. I'm talking about heart energy, where you learn to give and receive love. And that kind of energy starts relating to other people, and you notice your life getting better. There's
Mhm.
also soul energy. The soul energy is our whoever, and that might be, to some people it's God, to some people it's the universe, some people it's the connection between humans. But that entity that we call God, or the one, that thing that's giving us life right now, that's what I call soul energy, because that's something that I think gives meaning, fulfillment to a man's life. And then the last one, which is mind. All right. So mental illness is huge nowadays. And I hate to see people breaking down and or committing suicide because they don't have their mental energy right. Because no matter what anybody else does, that means that your energy should remain strong. And that mind energy, if you can find that right frequency, and it can be done with music, it can be done with talking to certain people, but that getting the mind right, because the mind directs the other energy streams. So I'm getting to the energy because it's kind of the overarching thing that goes past medicine. I think it's the thing that backs up the placebo effect. So I'm really digging deep into the energy field because I want people to know that there are different facets to this, and it's not just health. It's not just strictly physiology. It's way more than that.
Absolutely. And I'm a big firm believer that everything is energy.
Mm.
So even money. So
Mm.
how you and that comes from your mindset. So how you see money is what is going to attract to you, good or bad.
I agree with you wholly. I think money is an energy because I think it comes to you when you have a certain frequency, when you're vibrating in a
Absolutely.
certain way. If you have a certain mindset, that it's almost like it's automatic. Yes.
Hmm.
So right now, I have to tell you, I have some disturbances with my energy mentally because I am an entrepreneurial minded person, but I
Hmm.
still work a job. So it bothers me. So that kind
Hmm.
of thing, I don't. I don't want my life dictated by anybody else in any way. But because that is the case, because I haven't gotten completely to where I want to go yet, that means that now I still have this part of me that is kind of tied down spirit
Mhm.
wise. When I think that's my last frontier. So I'm not in like a huge hurry to break it because I think I have almost everything else in my life the way I want it. So I'm not too bad on it. But as far
That
as yeah, the energy of oh man, the money. I feel you can almost feel when it's coming to you.
yeah. But you know what's funny you just said that because I'm the same way. So, I have this, I know I have an assignment to do that's going to be entrepreneurial in nature, and I have a lot of it going, but I still have a job.
Mm,
Um, and like you, but I don't want to be tied to that any longer. So my goal is to make that happen. And so for me, it's like I'm trying to really work on my energy that's preventing me to, truly get to that point, if
yeah.
that makes sense.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, so I've been, working on myself on saying, okay, what's a trigger or what's holding me back where I feel that I have to have this job as a form of safety and not go out there and just do it and trust that the universe will keep me going as I go and do it. And so that's what I've been working on. And
Mm,
now and in that I realized there was some things that I had to release, some fears that I had to release because of my past experience. So, maybe you might want to try that.
you might. I'm definitely gonna do that because that's not even a part of the course, and I have already mostly built out the course. So I'm actually going to definitely include that.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times too, it could be some sort of fear that could be holding us back. For me, I'll say this for everybody, so they could, if I'm transparent. I think around the time I first met you, I was pretty much an entrepreneur, and I was doing the coaching, I was doing the fitness, all that type of stuff, the podcast,
Mm.
and I got sick, and I got bit by a poisonous spider, had me
Oh,
in the hospital for 30 days. And so at the time, I didn't realize how important it was to have passive income that you making money while you're sleeping. Because everything I was doing was fee for service. So if I'm not working, if I'm not giving out a service, I'm not getting paid. So after I got out of the hospital, I still couldn't do everything. So I wasn't generating money like I was used to. So then I had to start all over from scratch. So I think so for me, um, the job is like a protection for me. Say I don't want to go back to that point again. And so now I have to release it, understand that, I have different things in motion this time. I do have passive income coming in.
mm,
So that therefore, if something was to happen to me again physically, that I'll still be okay
mm.
because I got other things coming in. So that's for me, it's just the subconscious of knowing, releasing the fear from the past that's preventing me from going full force this time. So that's what I
Well,
had to realize.
I'll tell you this in the spirit of brothers supporting each other. All right, so
Uh,
said something that was very vulnerable. So I'm gonna tell you something about why I have not been posting on YouTube and stuff like that is because I have been getting my life together and I have gone through ups and downs with depression as far
mhm,
as feeling certain things and sometimes like you said starting over not being where you think you should be in your life at a certain age that kind of stuff still hits me and it hit me hard. So, and I didn't realize that it would affect me the way it did. But I found myself like literally almost in a funk, all couldn't think straight, driving to work almost in a daze some days because it was kind of that bad. So luckily I have come out of it. Luckily, my wife has done some like things like as far as talking to me and not saying that entrepreneurship does not have to be like at the forefront of your life every minute of the day, and that means a lot. That means a lot because it helped me through a lot of days where I was just like really just grinding the mental gears and trying to figure out how do I do this? How do I make it work faster? How do I get the money? How do I run this coaching program? How do I put these people in? How do I take care of them? I'm bored them, and I'm thinking about all this stuff, and at the same time, I'm just not getting enough sleep as I need to. Sometimes the
Mhm.
junk food throws your mental off. Sometimes I'm not spiritually right. So that's why I decided I had to get into the energy because it I think it's centering and grounding me. And when I say energy, I'm not talking about even though other people might be, I'm not talking about chakras, I'm not talking about crystals, I'm not talking about anything traditional. I'm talking about using yourself and your vibrations to actually align energy so that your life comes together the way you want
Absolutely. And I completely agree with you on that, because that's what I had to do. And I felt that when I was in the hospital, that was God's way of forcing me to be still. Because like you, we grinding hard, we burn the candle on both ends, trying to make this work, trying to make it to where we want to be. And I wasn't resting like I was supposed to. Um, Spiritually, I wasn't where I was supposed to because I was just busy doing all the wrong things don't try to get somewhere that I wasn't able to get to without the connection.
it.
So those 30 days, it pretty much forced me to get reconnected because how he did it was um, they took my cell phone and put in security. So I had no cell phone. So I don't know nobody's number by heart. So I had no one calling me for 30 days, pretty much 30 days.
That's hard to go without your phone.
So nobody was able to call me because nobody knew I was pretty much in the hospital that much. And so it was like, okay, it's gonna be me and you. You're gonna rest and you're gonna spend time with me, and I'm going to talk to you and tell you what you need to be trying to do.
Wow.
And yeah, and from that point, I was like you. I said, okay, let me, regardless of how much of a busy day I have, I had to go back to what I knew worked best for me and create my morning routine of how I started spiritually to get myself centered. So then whatever happens in the day, I'm already centered enough to where whatever come my way, it won't knock me off my center. And then do something at the end of the night as well to prepare me for my rest. And once I started doing that and making that my routine, I'm better, and I've seen the evolution of me. And so, yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's I mean, I have to say I have almost the same ritual because in the morning I get up at 4 a.m. To go to the
Mhm.
gym just to make sure I release the tension, release the stress, at
Yeah.
least build a little muscle, get some metabolism up. That's a way to build my energy because that leads into the rest of my day, which it helps my cognition and it helps my sleep. And at the end of the day, I don't do the phone. I don't mess with the phone, but I do have like I put an infrared
Mhm.
kind of an infrared, like it's supposed to go around your body parts, but I put it over my face, and it has been kind of helping me look a little younger. But it mellows out your brain. So
Okay.
it actually helps you go to sleep. So when you finally turn off that red light, that infrared light, all of a sudden your cells are almost like humming and you can fall right into sleep. And I just been doing that on and off just to see how it works. And it's been working pretty good as far as that. So I use that as kind of like a form of meditation to kind of wind down before I go to sleep. Yeah.
That's cool. So, are we going to see you back on YouTube?
You know what? I'm not. I'm sure I will be, but I'm not sure it'll be in the same capacity. I was thinking about just changing my channel to an energy channel instead of starting a whole new channel because I know people have been like stalking me. Like, why haven't you been talking about medical stuff? All right, we need your videos. And I'm just like, well, I made like 150 videos, so you can always go back and watch them. But I know what they're talking about. They want to hear the new information, the angles on new stuff that's coming out as far as treatments and therapies and all this stuff. So I get it. I get that. But I want to get back on there. Yeah. But YouTube, they've been kind of messing with me because they say nothing's wrong with my account. But I've been stuck at the same 63,200 subscribers for like 2 years. So either I would lose them or I would gain them, but I shouldn't be at the same place. So I don't know.
Right. That is crazy. So then so what's the plan for you go
You
on
know,
for 2024?
I definitely energy. I'm
Yeah.
going hard on energy, and I love it because energy goes with the health. Energy goes with the mental. So I'm definitely going in those directions with the health. I mean, with the energy. Now, as far as the platforms, I think something better for me would be the shorter content on TikTok. I'm loving Instagram because it's hyper responsive, and I'm loving fan base. So fan base is one of the ones
Really?
that I actually like, and I actually love the company because I got on there, and then they started talking about investing in something. So I just said, yeah, let me invest in it a little bit too. So I did that as well.
And I was thinking about doing that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause I might have
they're
to
still
check into
taking
that.
rounds. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say to the listeners today that feels like, 'cause a lot of guys I coach are in their early 30s or mid 30s, and they feel like they're too far behind, and it's too late to try to go after their dreams or go after, what they think they can achieve. What would you tell those men who have those thought patterns?
You know what? I wouldn't even try to change their mind. I think they just need to see solid examples of people who are doing it older than them. Yes, because it's never too late to start anything as far as a business venture or something like that. Because I don't think I will ever stop trying to be an entrepreneur until the day I die. I will not never stop trying to make money, market, get people into an email list, subscribe them to something. I mean, that is just it's fun to do, it's exciting, it's I think that's just what's in an entrepreneur's mind. But for those young men, I think they feel that way because they're comparing. Every time that you compare yourself to somebody else, it always looks worse because you're at the beginning and they're at the end, and you're comparing your beginning to their end. It doesn't match. So of course mentally you think I should be there because they're my age, but you didn't start when they started. Your life didn't look like theirs looked. You don't know what advantages they had before you. You don't know what kind
Okay.
of connections they had or their parents had. So it's always a different game, especially when you're trying to do something by yourself. And I don't put down the entrepreneur who wants to do something for themselves because or work by themselves, because everybody always says you got to get a team, you got to do this, you got to build an email list, you got to build a funnel. When you hear all of that, what it tells you is that's a lot of work, that's a lot of stuff to do, and I don't know any of it, so why start it? And that's what kind of
Mm,
throws a lot of people out of the entrepreneurship game when I think we all need it.
yeah. And you said something that was very true, and that's something I had told one of my clients. Because he was
Mhm.
comparing himself. He'll get on social media and he'll see his friends and they're doing maybe a little bit better than him, and so then he'll feel like he'll get into a state of depression, like I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And then I'm like, look, you don't know their story. You don't know what it was, the whole deal of what they got going on. All you see is everybody highlights of
Mhm.
what they're doing, and they put it on social media. No one's going to put their low lights on social media.
That's
You
right.
know, they gonna put their highlights. So you don't know if they're truly where they at. But if they are, good for them. But it's not. You're not comparing them to you. The only comparison you should be comparing yourself to is yourself. Or
Mhm.
am I the better version of myself each and every day?
That's
And
right.
I said, what you have to learn is to give yourself grace because you don't know you they don't know what you had to go through to get to this point.
Yep.
And so and you have to be be okay or understand and give yourself some grace. Say, you know what? I might not be where I want to be right now, but I came along further from where I maybe 6 months ago.
That's right. That's right. Yes, and they'll understand that once they just try to start the business, they'll go through it, and then they'll realize how hard it is, and then after they get the hang of it, how easy it is, and then somebody else will start comparing themselves to them, and then they'll
Mm,
see that by going through this transition and then filling the roles as they go, they'll find out somebody is going to then look at your end, and they're going to be jealous of you, they're going to be envious of you, they're going to be hating on you because yeah. But the thing is, I just don't like I don't like the hate because at the beginning I did it too. I got to say I was guilty. But when you see somebody successful, it's almost like you automatically hate on them because they got what you want. And
mm,
that's a hard thing to contend with when you're a young man who wants, you have ambition.
absolutely. So for the people listening, men and women,
Mhm.
why is it important to invest in themselves in getting a coach, whether it's a health coach, a life coach? Why you feel that's important?
I I believe I believe you I think it's just a better form of a shortcut because trying to learn everything on your own is not conducive to everybody. Some guys are anomalies. Like I'm one of those. I'm a person who loves to learn everything on my own. And but here's the thing, I can learn it fast. Now, most people, when they are trying to do something, I know some people don't like to read. Some
Mm,
people they hate following through with somebody's program. Some people they refuse to buy a course. If that is the case, I think a coach is super important because what's going to happen is the coach has been through all the pitfalls and stuff that you're about to go through, and they can help you avoid all of that. And you can just jump right into doing what you have to do, just a little testing. And since everything else is coming from the coach, meaning it's set up already, you don't have to go through the trials and tribulations that it takes to become a successful individual in your mind, whatever that means for you as far as success. Now, for me, I've got a different definition. I'm like family, spending time with my daughter and my son, going on vacations with them. That's a successful part of my life because it brings tremendous joy to my life. And even though it's costing me money instead of making me money, it's one of the best things I ever do in my life. But I think for a lot of people, they think money is the only measure of success, and that's going to get old, especially if you don't get the money right now.
absolutely. Absolutely. And how did you get to that point where you realize money is okay, but it's not the end all be all for your happiness? Because I think, like you said, like you said, especially now for the younger generations, everything's on social media and everything's about money. And you have to get the money, have to have live this lavish
Right.
lifestyle. And and if you don't have that kind of money, then it's like they go through depression because they feel like they're worthless. How did you get to that point where money is something that we need to have to live, but it does not make or break how you see yourself as a person?
Because I actually did a little task by myself, and that was I went to look at houses. And I mean mansions, like multi-million dollar houses, did the walkthroughs, set up the appointments, stuff like that. And we did the walkthroughs. I took my wife, she went on some when we first started dating. We were going through a lot of houses. And what I realized was the more I walked through the houses, the more I was just like, okay, it's just a house. And after the glamour wears off and you stop seeing, oh, there's 7 bedrooms, there's 10 bathrooms, it has a swimming pool out in the back, a Olympic sized swimming pool, it has a grotto, it's a gym in the house. Once you go through all of that, and no matter how spectacular it is, you then realize that, man, it's going to cost a lot of money to heat this house. It's going to cost a lot of money to upkeep this pool. Do we need all these rooms? It's just me and my wife. Why do we need all these rooms? So you start thinking about it like that, and then you start thinking, well, is a car just to get you from A to B, or do you need a Bugatti? Do you need a Ferrari? Do you need a Porsche to get you from point A to point B? The answer is no. So, what are you buying that for besides trying to impress people who will not notice you, who think you're a jerk for driving an expensive car? I mean, I don't blame anybody for getting them, but if you think that's going to add some value to your life, it's just not. So once I think, go act like a rich person, go pretend to be one, go into the houses, go into the cars, and see when you do that so often, does it still have the same meaning to you? Because to me, it did not. And I realized that, man, if I got a big old house like this, do you realize the upkeep that's going to be on this thing, the heating bills, the insurance, everything that goes along with this thing? So I was like, yeah, I want a house that's decent. That will be my forever home for me and my wife. But I don't need 10 rooms. I don't need 15 bathrooms. I don't need a super expensive $250,000 car. I just realized that I need what I need to cover my expenses so I don't have to work for anybody else. That's what I consider rich, and I can spend time with my family. That's about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I just think I learned a lot from my dad,
Mhm.
and
Me too.
he bought the size house that he needed. Like you said, for him, my mom, and my brother and I. It was just big enough for the four of us, but it didn't. So then therefore, it was he was able to afford it, and he was able to pay it off in like 7 to 10 years
Mhm.
instead of 30 years. So then therefore, now he's gonna save all this money. The house is paid for, so now the money he was using to pay on the car house note, he could reinvest and just live a quality life and
Mhm.
not work and not trying to he's not competing with nobody. And so when I saw that, it was like, okay, because at the end of the day, everybody who's buying all these fancy cars, you're in competition. You feel
Mhm.
like I have a certain job title. So if I have a certain job title,
Yeah.
therefore I need a certain type of car because it has to be in alignment to what I do for a living instead of just
Right.
buying what you need. They're gonna get you to A and B, A to B. And I just think if we get past that part,
Mhm.
we would do better and be better. And from the energy I get from you, you come across very confident.
Mhm.
And like you said, we all have our challenges where, we second guess ourselves or whatever. But for the most part, you come across very confident. How was that your father or your parents that instilled that confidence in you, or is that something you just got yourself?
It's strange. I got it from my dad and the men in my family only after I was bullied. Uh, almost it was almost too much. So I got lucky in that respect that I had men in my family who could actually come to my aid, tell me to stop this, do this. You're supposed to learn how to fight. You're supposed to learn how to stand up for yourself. So that's why I got bullied from the elementary school through junior high school. And then when I got into high school, I was like, I cannot have this happen in high school because it'll be worse. So I started lifting weights and playing basketball just to avoid bullying. So that was the main reason I did it. So after getting that confidence from my dad, my uncles, and stuff like that, they taught me stand up for yourself, fight for yourself. Even if you lose, you better do something to the other person so they don't mess with you again. And I learned that lesson. But I was like, I can also look like I'm bigger. I can look like I'm an athlete, and then nobody's going to mess with me. And then I don't have to fight every day of my life to actually get something done or have somebody notice me, that kind of stuff. But right now, because I think where my confidence comes now is I speak in front of a classroom every day. So I speak to university level students who are trying to go into a medical career. And because I can stand up there and tell the students certain things about the medical industry, about certain things that are going to happen in their careers, stuff like that, it became easier to be confident. And that means just talking to people without expecting anything from them.
I love it. So, what will be some of your parting words to the men and women who are watching today? Because I know you've been a busy day, and I really appreciate you coming on. But as a parting word, what would you like to tell everybody who's watching today?
To be honest, I think don't get fooled with thinking that the stuff that you buy as far as health and food, don't get fooled by thinking that's real food. It's foodstuffs. We think when we go to a restaurant, it's better than if we were to go to Del Taco or Taco Bell, McDonald's. It's really not. When we go to a fancier restaurant, it's just a better preserved piece of meat that has been processed. It's a better type of macaroni that has been processed. So if you guys can go somewhere where they have farm fresh burgers, farm fresh meat, farm fresh fruits and vegetables, salads, stuff like that, do that for yourself. Please. And don't just say it's convenient. Let's just do it. It's just easier for us, because that will get you down the road of sickness. And like they said, three-fifths of the world's population will have some form of cancer before they die. That was in the National Cancer Institute. Now, everybody, if that's 8 billion people on the planet, that's about 5.3 billion people. That's crazy amounts of numbers for somebody to end up with cancer with before you die. So I don't want to see my people, men or women, going through that. I don't want women having breast cancer. I don't want men having prostate, colon, and bone cancer. It's just too much going on out there. So as far as your health, I always stick to the health, because that is what's actually going to keep you here, so that you can live your dreams, get your goals, so that you can actually live the life you want to live. I don't think you can get there if you're sick, if you're decrepit, if you're worried about yourself, if you don't know if tomorrow you're going to be alive, if you now have to get chemotherapy treatments. So please take care of yourself. And if you can, remember, you have to stay out of a system that does not ask you questions or care about your health. Yes, if your doctor doesn't ask you questions, if they're not sitting there with you to find out, you've been living with yourself your whole life. And everybody, guess what? Your doctor's only known you for 20 minutes. He can't know everything. So make sure you make your own decisions for your health, and not just say okay because somebody is wearing a white jacket.
And I would to piggyback off of that too. What everybody has to understand too: most doctors are only required to take one nutrition class,
Mm,
and
absolutely
therefore,
true.
how can they really guide you on your journey of your health? They only have had one nutrition class, so they're
Yes,
not going. So you have to understand that you could do your own research and know more than the doctor.
yeah,
So, so
I,
that's
I,
what I
I
would say
agree.
too. So, so once again, I want to thank you so much for being part of the show. Can tell everybody how they can follow you on social media.
All right. Usually you guys can find me under Human Health Link. All right. So on social media, that's my handle on all of them. But it's going to be, you might find another one under Energy. Nergii. All right. So I actually have it up on the handle on the screen here. So if you
Okay.
guys can spell it. But yes, I'm going to be doing a lot about energy. Yes. So if you guys ever just look up Human Health Link, you'll find me. And I'll be talking about energy from here on a lot.
Good. But thank you so much for being part of my show. You know, I always keep an eye on you because you're doing great things.
My pleasure,
And
Kevin.
so always look forward to talking to you again, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. The same to you, man. I appreciate you as well. Thank you, Kevin. I
All
appreciate it.
right. You have a good night.
You as well. Thank you.